Okay, so we're back. I've got my DHCP server up. I've got my Kali 2020 aggressor system up. I've got my Metasploit victim system up. And I've proven that they've all picked up IP addresses. My Kali box is 1.11. My Metasploitable box is 1.12. And the procedure I'm going to be running through is in the textbook. Portable Linux, Practical Linux Security, the cookbook. This is chapter 1, starting on page 31. The first thing, honestly, that you need to do before you do this is actually make sure everything can ping everything else. It's no good doing anything at the application layer, layer 7 of the OSI model, if you don't have connectivity at layer 3, the network layer of the OSI model. 12. So, can Kali ping and get back from? If you can't ping, if you can ping, but if you can't ping, but say you can do an ARP resolution, interesting, ARP. Okay, I guess ARP is a thing you have to have pseudo privilege for. I don't know why, but it's in SBIN. So what we're going to do on the Kali system is fire up Metasploit. So we're going to start the PostgreSQL service. So sudo service start PostgreSQL start. So that's the structure. Sudo, or if you have a root, if you're doing this as an admin user, just service. Boom. Give it a second. You may need to, okay, now the other thing to do is check its status, because the service command tends to fail silently. You need to check it purposefully, rather than just assuming, okay, no news is good news, it must be working. That's the wrong assumption to make. Now, so the next thing to do is MSF console. Now, before I do that, let's nmap 192.168.1.12. Now, nmap all by itself will scan the first 1,000 ports, most of the well-known range. So I see PostgreSQL. I see FTP. If I want to do a version scan -SV, it'll take a little bit longer, but I can confirm the kind of target that I'm trying to go after. And it will take just a second. Let's see, so I'm going to pause this. So, and this should be familiar with. I've run this command before. So we see vsftpd 234, OpenSSH, Telnet, postfix, the ISC implementation of bind DNS, Apache, Tomcat, VNC, PostgreSQL, something that might be MySQL, a root shell for Metasploitable. What we're going to do now is we're going to use Metasploit to exploit this port 21, the command channel for vsftp. And this is actually the same kind of thing if you have your file server up and running, the server in which you set up FTP. You could do the same thing against it, which might be a fun thing to do. So what we're going to do now is actually fire up Metasploit. So MSF console. Okay, so this is what you get. You get this Metasploit framework console. Warning about no database support. There's this ASCII art of some kind of ninja. It tells us that we've got about 1900 exploits, payloads, evasions, or we could look at the description of a given module with the info command. So we've already done nmap. So what I'm going to do now, because we don't need to nmap again from inside Metasploit, I'm going to search vsftpd. Okay, and there's a backdoor for vsftp234. So what I'm going to do is use exploit Unix ftp vsftpd backdoor. Enter. So I load the exploit. So you pick your exploit, you load it, and you go from there. Show options, and it so it will so you need your hosts and your port. If you don't want to change these things, so what I can do is our hosts 192.168.1.12. Boom. Set our host. Okay. Set our host. Plural. Okay, so now I will, so I've set my target. I don't need to change my port, and I can type exploit. Boom. So it will, so it reached in, it fed it a root password, it opened a command shell. So, okay, so the thing here you don't actually see, and so let's have a little fun here. cd, ls, cd msf admin, ls, cd ls -f. Okay, so it is a directory. You don't see a prompt, and so just go with the flow. It might help to use commands like -f, which will give you a file type character at the end of the file name. So ls-l. So okay, so I can get into the vulnerable directory. And command completion does not work. Okay. ls-l again. These are more directories. Ooh, let's drop a directory onto here. mkdir pwned. Okay, so if I were to go into my Metasploitable console here, I would expect to see that new file, which I just dropped remotely onto the system. Wakey, wakey. Okay, there. So I'm going to go into the vulnerable. See, my pwned directory is there. Interesting. Aha! The fun thing here is I owned a directory that the other guy can't even see. Now, if I'd been really sneaky, I could have created this directory. And let me do that. Let me hide this fact. Let me hide the fact that I was ever here. So I'm going to exploit again. So I know a little bit something about the layout of the system now. I can just jump around a little bit more. What I'm going to do is use the mv command to move the pwned directory to .pwned. Notice it has disappeared. If I don't know it's there, I won't know it's there. So I go back here, ls. So now, granted, let's pretend for a moment that I kind of didn't see this before. So I do ls. I'm maybe not necessarily looking for something that I didn't even know was there. So sudo cat dot pwned sudo ls dot pwned. See, there. So you can use this to, this is just the very beginning of what you can do. You can use this to infiltrate data, exfiltrate data. Honestly, if you're doing something to claim root privilege on another box on a target system, you're probably not doing it for something as, well, for your script kiddies who are really kind of in this for the lulz. They might actually not have anything more complicated or relevant to do than some low-level vandalism. As in, haha, I owned your website, or something stupid like that. The folks that we really need to worry about using things like this are after lateral movement, data exfiltration, system compromise, so that they own your system more than you do. They may be sneaky enough after they've intruded on your system and consolidated their control of it. Basically, they punch a hole into your system, then close the door behind them so no one else can do the same thing. They may give you the semblance of root control, but really kind of take it away from you. So you don't know you've been owned unless you're looking closely. This is why host intrusion detection systems are so important. Why the principle of defense in depth is so important. Do not trust just the firewall or the network intrusion detection system or even your data loss prevention appliances. Don't just trust those at the edge of your network. Everything that matters should be defended as to the degree to which it is important to you. Now, there is in the context of risk management, you have to look at the real value of the asset versus the real cost of securing it. And if the real value of the asset is less than the real cost of securing it, then you do something other than mitigate the risk. You accept it, or you transfer it, or you just take the asset out of service entirely. But that is a whole other story. So this is a demonstration of using Metasploitable against Metasploit framework against an exploitable vsftpd server. So you could probably try the same thing against your file server once you've set it up. Thank you for watching.